Ji for joining us, saying that in a way, one of the things of APJ Kalam was the fact that he radiated this youth factor. I interrupted you, sorry.
I like to answer. When the space program went a little awry, you could see the concern when he spoke. Sometime our spaceships, etc. At that time, he was very much concerned with the Indian space program as a technician. On the other hand, the geniality was so much that he not like to do certain thing as Mr. Manoj as the government sends it, but he returned it back with all cordiality and still stand to his.
Yes, there was of course the one controversial decision that he took over a president's rule in Bihar, which will perhaps haunt him. Remember, that was the midnight decision that he took when he was the president in Moscow. But really, otherwise, he was a model president because he redefined the presidency. He gave it a certain people-centric approach, removed the trappings of power away from the presidency. But General Malik, you know, this whole idea of India 2020, I know the Vice President Hamid Ansari says, I don't like the use of the word superpower, but the idea of imagining an India of the future. I never heard Dr. Kalam talk of the past. It was always talking about the future, what we can be. Do you believe that also was a secret as to why he attracted a younger India with a 65% population in this country now under the age of 35?
Yeah, I think that is very correct, because he was able to connect so well with younger people, including the children. And you're quite right, he always thought of future. Let me also mention to you, you remember when we carried out our nuclear test in Pokhran in 1998, how many days warning notice did he get? Hardly any. And yet he was ready. And I remember him donning the army uniform along with his colleagues and going quietly to Pokhran to supervise the test which was going on between him and Dr. Chidambaram of the Atomic Energy Commission and the army engineers who were already located there. You know, that spirit was there. He was a person who wanted to get going, do something, always in a hurry, while walking or in doing. And there is no doubt the kind of books that he has written, the kind of messages that he has been given, he was only thinking in terms of future. He never spoke of the past.
I'm just going to bring in Arun Jaitley, Information and Broadcasting and Finance Minister. Let's listen.
He thought well. He had positive ideas. His contribution as a scientist, his contribution as a president was unparalleled. He's left a void for all of us. The whole of the country will mourn his death, and we'll all continue to remain inspired by him. देखिए, एक बहुत बड़ी क्षति इस देश के लिए हुई है. इस देश के बहुत बड़े प्रेरक, मार्गदर्शक और जिनको मैं कहूं कि इस देश के एक आदर्श नागरिक थे. उनके संबंध में हर चीज सकारात्मक थी, उनकी सोच सकारात्मक थी, उनके विचार सकारात्मक थे. और एक वैज्ञानिक के रूप में और वैज्ञानिक के साथ साथ राष्ट्रपति के रूप में इस देश को जो मार्ग उन्होंने दिखाया और जो योगदान दिया, वो ये देश कभी नहीं भूल सकता.
There's Arun Jaitley also paying rich tribute there to APJ Abdul Kalam. We expect the tributes to flow in right through the day. If you have something to say about APJ Abdul Kalam, just tweet us or write in to us at our India Today website. We will play your tributes to the man. He's someone who connected with different Indias. And it wasn't just he wasn't just a president in a sense who had been ritualistically appointed. He would travel the country, he would travel the world, meeting new people, there you have a picture of him there in that Air Force uniform. He was someone who constantly wanted to do new things, break new barriers. That was APJ Abdul Kalam. Naresh Gujral, you were saying that your father, I.K. Gujral, when he was Prime Minister, had given him the Bharat Ratna at the time. You know, this is someone who in a sense truly epitomizes what the Bharat Ratna should be about Karma Yogi and serving your nation. That is what APJ, he brought luster to the Bharat Ratna.
He did, and he served the nation till his last breath. Look at the way he passes away, giving knowledge to the young, enjoying himself with the young, and in that sense making the ultimate sacrifice for the country.
You know, we've often said that, Sambit Patra, you know, that the Bharat Ratna has been politicized, question mark. But with APJ Abdul Kalam, you could clearly say that this is what Bharat Ratna should always be. Someone who spends a lifetime dedicated to national service.
I'll tell you, though the word politics has become really bad these days, but there are few people like Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who are in fact ornaments for politics, because they have come into the domain of politics. Politics in fact has received some kind of ornamentation. We are happy to say that, well, yes, we are politicians of the age where Mr. APJ Kalam also served the nation. I mean, that is the kind of thing that he has done to Indian politics, that he has done to the word politics. We cannot say, if someone says, oh, politicians are bad, it is bad to be in politics, you can always say, no, look, he was the president of country, Kalamji was the president of the country, so we can have good people in politics. So I believe he has redefined politics by his ornamentation.
I couldn't agree with you more, because, you know, Manoj Joshi, the sense one gets, obviously, is that a scientist lives a life of a recluse. You know, you live within the confines of DRDO, you don't... But Kalam was different. He was a scientist who had that common touch. It seemed almost that, you know, born in a small village in Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu, he hadn't forgotten his roots, but the ability to go beyond the traditional definition of a scientist. You know,
I'll tell you one thing very interesting from that point of view. Kalam's great ability, what he used, what you're saying that, you know, that you're supposed to be a recluse, but the way he was outgoing, but he used that outgoing in two very interesting manners. As a DRDO chief, he was able to, because of his influence, pull in funds to DRDO, which made DRDO more influential. Secondly, when he became president and a public person, he was able to do that to inspire Indian science. And so he was constantly, for example, when this nanotechnology business came up, so you found Kalam talking about nanotechnology, then it's sustainable development, climate change, etc. So, you know, as a public person, what he was doing was to create a civic and scientific discourse in the country. You know, this is a completely different level from where you see other public persons in this country taking us. So you have someone talking of science, hard science, so youngsters sitting in some small town, actually you have an inspirational figure. Someone is talking about the kind of stuff.
You're absolutely right. In all his books, I remember publishers would tell me, sold in different languages so that they could reach out to new, you know, to new constituencies, new audiences. Somnath Chatterjee, veteran parliamentarian, former Lok Sabha speaker, now joining me. Mr. Chatterjee, your first reactions, your first thoughts on APJ Abdul Kalam, sir?
It is come as an utter shock to me, because like others, citizens, I did not realize that it was so serious. His illness, he had taken admission from Shillong Hospital, but he really to report from the blue, and I think we have lost a great, not only a great scientist, not only a great president, but a great Indian who tried his best throughout his life how to raise the standard of the people, how to be good, disciplined people, how we should carry out our day-to-day activities, and also try to bring about all-round development of the country. I think it was a unique example of a citizen, of a leader who was devoted not only to the country as everybody will be, but he tried his best to uplift the people of the country to be worthy citizens of great prospect and great future.
You know,
I have got the highest respect for him.
Any personal memory, sir? Any personal memory from your long career as a parliamentarian, particularly when he was president? Do you remember anything that always will stand out for you?
Yes, I very fondly remember that when I was sworn in as a pro tem speaker, it was before him I took the oath, and he was so kind and so really inspiring personality. He gave me good work. He said, I'm sure
yes,
he
you know,
will forget that.
and of course,
and he also, one thing also struck me,
Yes.
and I've been there, but was as a Rashtrapati ji, because members of parliament from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha of each state.
So the line is breaking. I'll try and revive the line. But there's something that struck me as I was watching those pictures is the hair. You know, look at Dr. Kalam's hair. He was unique. You know, it was something which made him in a way so attractive, because I don't think even after he became President of India that he tried. I think he was extremely uncomfortable in wearing some of the suits that sometimes he had to wear. He was just happier, as you can see him in that picture, in his bush shirt with that hair. But the hair, in a sense, General Malik, will define the man. You know, I know you're a military man, sir. So a military person has to be perfect in the way they keep their hairdo. But Dr. Kalam's hairdo, in a sense, reflected the man. Someone who was not going to be trapped by what power or why what the office of president demanded.
I think the hairstyle was his only fad, if I remember, and he was very careful and he was very particular about it. Yes. But Rajdeep, what I also want to mention about his simplicity, I have not come across any person who, after he left the Rashtrapati Bhavan, went and stayed in a 1.5 room small house in Delhi cantonment for almost 1.5 months till his house was ready. Right. I have stayed in that particular small house. It's really 1.5 room with one small bathroom, and he didn't say anything at all. From Rashtrapati Bhavan, for a person to be shifting to that small house hidden in Delhi cantonment, I mean, that reflects his simplicity. But I would consider him to be a great scientist and a great motivator for everyone. I think these are the two aspects one remembers.
Right.
Both his being a great scientist, wanting to do more and more for the country, and a great motivator for everyone, young and old.
Right.
And he loved to talk to people. He used to prepare his own PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah, I know he used to. I remember watching him preparing one of those PowerPoint presentations when we had him for a function. But Sumitra Mahajan, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, is also speaking. Let's listen in to Sumitra Mahajan. Ma'am, your first reactions to the news that Dr. Kalam has passed away, ma'am.
Most loved one man, loved by the whole country, from बच्चों से लेके बूढ़ा तक, जिस पर प्रेम किया हो इस कंट्री ने, ऐसा व्यक्ति आज हमने खोया है. That is something.
बच्चों से लेकर बूढ़े तक, ये क्या था उनमें जादू? आपको लगता है कि बच्चों से लेकर बूढ़े सब उनको प्रेम करते थे?
एक्चुअली उनका जो देश के प्रति उनका खुद का एक तो अपनापन, प्रेम था बहुत
जी,
और इसलिए उनकी वो मुस्कान थी, हिज स्माइल.
यस.
एंड जिसको मैं स्माइल को भी ये कहती हूँ कि इनोसेंट स्माइल एंड ए क्लियर माइंड, इनोसेंट स्माइल विथ ए क्लियर माइंड एंड क्लीन थिंकिंग, ऑल दिस थिंग्स वो अट्रैक्ट करती थी. और इसलिए उन्होंने जो विजन 2020 दिया, या बच्चों को ओत दिलाना, ये छोटी छोटी बातें होती है, दर्शाती है उनका. ही वॉज no doubt he used to love the country, the country people also. That's why country also loved him very much. That
बिल्कुल,
different personality.
You know, I agree that as you said कि वो बच्चों से बूढ़े तक उनका एक प्रेम था. और देश प्रेम जो आपने कहा, आपकी कोई उनसे मुलाकात जो आपको हमेशा याद रहेगी?
मुझे तो आज भी याद है. मैं उनके साथ फिलीपींस की यात्रा पर गई थी. डेलीगेशन में मैं उनके साथ थी, और वो मुझे याद है फिलीपींस में, आपको बताऊं, वो जो वहाँ चावल की खेती हम देखने गए थे
जी,
तो वो वहाँ के मजदूरों से इतने एक होकर के बोल रहे थे, भले ही भाषा का कुछ भी हो, ऐसा लग रहा था भाषा वहाँ बंधन बनी रही पाती है. तो his actions and his expressions जैसे उनको समझ में आ रहे थे उन मजदूरों को. एंड नॉट ओनली दैट, हम लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करते थे. साथ में हम जो सांसद चल रहे थे, ही यूज्ड टू इन्वॉल्व एवरीबडी. और बोलो, व्हाट डू यू थिंक, व्हाट इज दिस, यू नो व्हाट इज दिस, ऐसे करके जो बोलने की उनकी स्टाइल थी. एंड फिलीपींस में मैं आपको बताऊं, प्लेन में उनका अलग केबिन हुआ करता था. स्टिल ही यूज्ड टू बिकम, आते और हमारे बीच में बैठ जाते, जाते समय भी आते समय भी, और हमारे बीच में बैठ जाते थे और हमसे इतने ऐसे बतियाते थे जैसे हमारे कोई मित्र अपने हैं जी. तो और साथ ही साथ ही टोल्ड अस, नाउ यू आर विथ मी, वी आर गोइंग बैक, सो नाउ गिव मी इन राइटिंग योर फीलिंग, हाउ वाज अवर ट्रिप, व्हाट यू फील अबाउट. यानी ऐसा भी नहीं है कि केवल बात करेंगे, उसमें से कुछ ना कुछ सिखाना भी चाहते थे कि मुझे लिख के दे दो पॉइंट्स कि आपको क्या लगा फिलीपींस की यात्रा का. That is something.
What a lovely story, ma'am, you have given us. आज सुमित्रा जी आपने जो story दी है हमें about his trip to Philippines, I think that typifies the man. This energy, as you are saying, that you go to Philippines, you speak there to farmers working there, and you are able to connect even with people in Philippines. उनमें वो एक, he had this great ability to connect to people, and no one will forget that. Sumitra Mahajan ji, you've spoken to us. Thank you so much. I just want to get in a word from former Attorney General Soli Sorabji also, who's joining us. Mr. Sorabji, your thoughts on APJ Abdul Kalam, sir?
Well, very sorry to hear about this because I had occasion to meet him. He used to call me for some advice on constitutional matters. And I remember his sense of humor. When I first met him, I said, Abdul Kalam Sahab, I know nothing about nuclear science. He said, don't worry, I know nothing about constitutional law. So let's get on. But though under the Constitution is bound to act according to the ministerial advice, he was keen that the advice was based essentially on justice, on fair play. He wanted to see that it's not he wasn't bothered about pleasing any party in power. He was very keen to see that what was done, to the extent possible within his presidential competence, for the good of the people, and especially for the young. He had a tremendous liking for young children. He was like their father. They took to him so spontaneously, and mind you, his simplicity is what really amazed me. And it was spontaneous simplicity, not put on. And it's very sorry that we have lost a man of his stature, of his nature, of his character, of his caliber. Now I think it's a real void in our country. His passing away has left a void.
I couldn't agree with you more, sir. I want to take a break at this point. We're going to get more tributes. They're coming in thick and fast through the day because I think APJ Abdul Kalam touched everyone. He touched the powerful, he touched the powerless. He touched the Aam Aadmi and he touched the Khas Aadmi. He touched the children of this country and he touched the senior citizens. He was, in a sense, someone who connected with multiple Indias, which is why today India is in mourning. Because we've lost someone who, in a sense, was someone we could connect with at all times. And I think it's that connection that APJ Abdul Kalam was able to build, which will be his lasting legacy. He showed the power of communication in simple terms, simple living, high thinking, and above all else, the energy, the infectious energy of always having a certain 18 till I die spirit. That he died while speaking to students at IIM Shillong perhaps is truly symbolic, because he was imparting knowledge to the young, something which I think for APJ Abdul Kalam meant more than anything else in his life. He was truly someone who epitomized the title of his book, Wings of Fire. Kalam had this remarkable ability in any public gathering, from reaching out, as I said, to millions of people with his thoughts and ideas. Let's listen in first to the former president from India Today's conclave in 2013.
While in office as the 11th President of India between 2002 and 2007, Dr. Kalam redeemed the highest office of the Republic by the sheer force of his personality and earned the title of People's President. Out of office, Dr. Kalam continues to serve the nation with the same sense of dedication, humanism, and humility. He's a globe-trotting preacher of development and innovation with a cult following among the youth. At 81, this sprightly evangelist of knowledge is an icon of young India. Dr. Kalam came to Rashtrapati Bhavan with the formidable reputation of being the missile man, with a rock star aura and a hairstyle which helps. By training an aeronautical engineer, the man from Rameshwaram in South India began his career as the project director of India's first indigenous satellite vehicle, which earned a membership in the Space Club. After an illustrious 2 decades in India's satellite program, he headed our missile development project, and later led the Pokhran-2 nuclear test, which made India a nuclear weapon state. He also, for 2 years, served as the principal scientific advisor to the Government of India. In the modernization of our defense technology, there was no leader more influential than Dr. Kalam. In a politically divided India, by its first right-wing Prime Minister, headed by its first right-wing Prime Minister, Dr. Kalam became a consensus candidate for the President. It was a tribute to his status as a national hero, but he was not an ornamental president, nor was he a partisan, as was some of his predecessors. Dr. Kalam not only upheld the best tradition of the office, but defied its rigid viceregal protocols to bring it closer to the people. In his own words, he turned Rashtrapati Bhavan into People's Bhavan. He made that hallowed premises on Raisina Hill accessible to ordinary citizens. His invitees included farmers, policemen, postmen, village sarpanches, and most significantly, students from all over India. The first citizen was at his inspirational best when he was with the young. He swayed their minds with his vision for India 2020. If we invest in knowledge and innovation, he believed India would become a developed nation. A Gandhian in his lifestyle, he was every inch modern and 21st century in his working style, and he still is. As president, he was guide, friend, teacher, and national role model, evoking admiration and affection in equal measure. Dr. Kalam is all that, even now, and busier as a best-selling author and most sought-after knowledge guru. In a country that is growing demographically younger, he is in permanent conversation with the youth. A random selection of his book titles, Wings of Fire, India 2020, Ignited Minds, gives us a glimpse of one of India's finest minds. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Thank you.
Is there any one leader, if you had the final choice, who would you choose?
You know, I worked with 2 prime ministers, okay? When I was a president, I had to work with Vajpayee ji and Manmohan Singh ji. Vajpayee ji, I have seen with him, half I worked, 50% with him in 5 years, 50% with Manmohan Singh ji. Now, Manmohan Singh is an expert in the field, in the finance. No doubt he is an expert in the field. So I value his judgment on the economy and all, and his suggestion to various issues, and that respect I have got for him. Whereas Vajpayee ji takes fast decisions, okay? Fast decisions. So this my mind says, these are 2 different. I hope both are complementary. Okay. Okay, sir. Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes, go ahead.
Get a mic.
Mic, rush mic.
Sir, you gave an absolutely beautiful description of what a leader ought to be. But do you think without really bringing about a change in the education system, we can create such leaders? Because the system itself
is... Good question. You see, education, madam, 3 components. Primary education, secondary education, higher education. I don't have much comment on secondary education and higher education. Both are going somewhat good. But my comment is on the primary education. Up to age 15, children, we need creative teachers. Children need creative syllabus. Children need creative classroom. All the 3 are missing. So we have to make a lot of reform in the primary education. Okay?
As you rightly said, democracy reinventing is like reinventing a wheel. Actually, it's actually the political system.
Keep this like this.
It is actually the political system which should take a change. Now, to create leaders, how do we get these leaders? Actually, is there any structural changes which political parties should do in order to groom, create leaders at the grassroots level so that they take up positions later on and make the change happen?
See, I have seen political leaders, some political leaders in India, they can spot, for me, I was spotted by Professor Vikram Sarabhai because I was not highly qualified, but I was working hard. I was acquiring the knowledge. At that time, when he spotted me as a young scientist, then he gave the full responsibility to grow. Not only selected me when I am in the lower bottom, but he gave me a responsibility to grow and ensure that I succeed. If I fail, he was by my side. Okay. The greatest quality of a leader, whether political or scientist or technology or industry, when the success comes, the industry or the leader give the success to his team. When the failure comes, the leader absorbs the failure. This is the greatest quality in politics, you know. Okay? That is, this I have witnessed actually in my life. I have witnessed. When I failed in SLV3, that is first launch of SLV3, putting the satellite in the orbit, it went to Bay of Bengal. It failed. On that day, the Professor Satish Dhawan, he took a press conference, national, international press conference. There, he announced that we are...